Hi, welcome back to our YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Paul Leahy. I'm joined by our guest today, Dr. Matt Sniegowski. Matt and I have become friends a little bit over the years doing some cases together, which unfortunately involve injuries. Dr. Sniegowski is an expert in eye trauma surgery, both and also cosmetic surgery around the eye. And so we've done some cosmetic surgeries together too and gotten to know each other. So we wanted to get together and put out a little public service announcement to try to keep you healthy and safe and avoiding firework injuries this 4th of July season. Dr. Sniegowski, you've probably seen all kinds of crazy eye-related injuries over your career.
Definitely.
What's the first thing that goes through your mind? I mean, have to walk into the ER with that.
You always go, gosh, I wish they had known beforehand just to be a little more careful. And I think, one of the hard things is a lot of the injuries, I don't know if it's similar with hand, but probably 2/3 or so of eye injuries are bystanders. Mm-hmm. So somebody who wasn't actively firing the firework, maybe they're having a conversation, they weren't watching, and something ends up hitting them in the face. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big one that is always, it's frustrating for patients and it's frustrating for the physicians that a lot of these injuries are preventable.
Actually, I didn't think of that. That's a good point. Because most of what we do in plastic surgery would be like the person actually directly handling the firework. But I did come across something kind of preparing for this a little bit that, for example, the common sparklers, which we give kids all the time. I grew up with them. You probably did.
Yeah.
2,000 degrees Fahrenheit they think they can reach. I mean, it melts metal.
Yeah.
So even the things you think are simple can be very dangerous. And we're not here to tell you not to have a good time. Please, I mean, go enjoy, have a good time. Just be safe. And like you mentioned, with a lot of the shows being canceled, around the area because of COVID, the sales are up like crazy.
I think I saw 400%.
Yes,
you see that stat?
I saw that too. So we hope that the numbers of injuries that you and I take care of also will not follow that trend. That's why we're here today. But
definitely.
Do you find that it's a lot more pediatrics that get injured with this, or adults, or?
I think the number of injuries are probably higher in the pediatric world. Sometimes the severity of the injury is a little higher in the adult world. Okay. I would say, I think, sparklers you mentioned, I think I had seen a statistic, almost 1,500 injuries last year from sparklers. A lot of those are children, so I think that's the big thing is, again, if you're going to have your kids play with sparklers, totally fine. I think you should have fun, but definitely have to be careful, especially the little ones.
One thing that we have noticed in our practice taking care of hand injuries on the 4th of July are that, at least my opinion and my anecdotal experience is that a large percentage of them are homemade devices. It seems like the ones that people buy generally function pretty well.
Yeah. And
I saw some stuff from the Consumer Protection Service or whatever, the commission, that most of the injuries are due to just, if it's something you bought at the store, it's because you totally ignored the warnings.
Right.
But if you build this thing at home and you don't have the right wicks and you use the wrong gunpowder and all this kind of stuff, look out. And everybody else around you needs to also. So.
And don't look at your duds. Please, that is probably the number one reason we have some really bad eye injuries is that the firework doesn't fire and somebody decides to look at it, and unfortunately then it discharges and that creates quite the injury. And so
when you get called into one of these things, obviously you go pretty much to the operating room and try to save what you can, but unfortunately people lose their vision.
Yeah, and that's one of the hard things with eye injuries is a lot of simple lacerations can be repaired. You can fix a corneal laceration, but an explosive injury to the eye, a lot of times there's really not much that we can do to help the eye. Mm-hmm. And so prevention is really key. Yeah,
totally. Same with the fingers and things, unfortunately there's not a lot of ways to save, for example, a finger that's become removed from a firework because that segment is so badly damaged. It just isn't something that can be saved, and so you're looking at amputations and things like that. So, again, at risk of, we don't want to sound like we're not, we love 4th of July, it's one of the best holidays, it's fun, but just please be safe out there and try to stay out of the emergency room. So we appreciate you joining us today and look forward to doing some other videos together maybe. So
definitely.
Cool.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Have a safe 4th.